welcome to Felixstowe TV. I'm Pete Seven, and I'm chatting with, well, what I'll do, I'll get him to introduce himself and tell us why he's here.
Hello, my name is David Ablitt. I'm very proud and privileged to be on the show, and I'm here to talk about my book that I've written, that took me 7 years and unbelievably has been published.
Brilliant. What's the title of the book?
It's called Howda Towan Git On.
Now, is this Suffolk speak?
Very much, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a little bit more Ipswich than Suffolk.
Right.
Ipswich accent is a little harsher than the Suffolk accent.
I'm an Essex boy, and when I first came to Felixstowe, I did notice the accent in Ipswich as a general rule, which I didn't really notice here in Felixstowe. But
no, Felixstowe doesn't tend to have that same accent.
No.
I don't know whether it's because of the port and the influx of outsiders over 40 years, but Felixstowe generally, there isn't much of an accent with Felixstowe people.
No.
Ipswich, it's quite pronounced and harsher than if you went into rural Suffolk. Very much a Suffolk accent, but the Ipswich accent tends to be, for some reason harsher.
So obviously this title, say it again please.
Howda Towan Git On.
So how did the town get on?
How did the town get on? Yeah. Before social media and mobile phones, I mean, information now is instant, isn't it?
Indeed.
But during the football season, up to probably 10 years ago, probably the most uttered words on a Saturday night in the town and in the pubs was, how did the town get on?
Sure.
Because people wanted to know the result. And,
now you said this book took you 7 years.
Yeah.
Was that really a lot of research went into it, or was it your first book for one?
Yes,
thing?
yeah, it was. I mean, I didn't. The reason I wrote the book was I'm an avid reader, and I went on holiday to Rhodes in 2007, and I grabbed a book at Smith's in Stansted Airport on the way out, and it was by a published author whose name escapes me for the moment, but I'd read a couple of his novels, which I'd enjoyed, and this was a diary of a football season, and he lived in London. And his divorced wife and 14-year-old son lived in Norwich. And this guy every Saturday picked his son up and they went to watch Stoke City play. And he wrote a diary of a season. Now I read the book in a day and a half, maybe 2 days, and I'm afraid I didn't enjoy it. I thought that the book spoke about the psyche of being a football fan, but didn't get to the heart of being a football fan. I don't think that you don't need to psychoanalyse of being a football supporter. You support your club.
Sure.
It's in your blood, it's in your heart, and it's a release, it's a release from the pressures of day-to-day living. And so I felt I could do better, rather arrogantly.
So were you born in Ipswich?
Yes, I was, born and bred, yes.
So,
yes.
And your parents were Ipswich supporters?
My grandfather was an Ipswich supporter. My father was an Ipswich supporter.
Yep.
He sat me on the draining board, it's all in the book, when I was about 4 or 5, and told me I was an Ipswich supporter. And I've never been anything else. And my son is an Ipswich supporter. And my grandsons, although they don't quite know it yet, but they'll be Ipswich supporters as well. It's very
so
much
through thick and thin,
absolutely,
you've been Ipswich
absolutely,
supporter.
Yeah.
Now this book, say it again.
How did town get on?
Because I won't say it correctly.
Okay.
It's priced at what?
£10.
Okay. And where is it available from?
Online at imaginedirect.co.uk.
Right.
The local bookshop in Felixstowe.
Stillwater.
Yes. The Bent Hill Post Office. Simon at Bent Hill is very kindly, he's selling them quite well. Finicky's hair salon in Trimley.
Very close to me.
Yeah. From Planet Blue, the Ipswich Town Club shop.
Brilliant.
And from me, of course.
Did you have a job to get it published? Because I've got a friend who's been trying to get his book published for years, and he's had no luck. It could be the book, of course, but...
let me tell you the story.
Go on.
I wrote the book with absolutely no concept of it being published. I didn't ever think it would be good enough to be published. That wasn't why I wrote it. As I said, it took 7 years, but it wasn't... For 2 of those 7 years, I never touched it. It was just a case of something came into my head, I'd jot it down, I'd transfer it to my PC. When I got time, I'd go back and, look at it, change things.
Sure.
And over 7 years, I gradually produced a manuscript, if you like, 37,000 words. And I put it into a chapter format. Last November 2014, I was invited to a school reunion in Ipswich, my old school, Felixstowe Secondary Modern School. And our old English teacher, or one of our old English teachers, a guy called John Crook, a very passionate Welshman, was coming up from Twickenham to the reunion. And I had actually met him 3 or 4 times over the years, and although obviously he's almost 80 now, he's lost none of his passion, very fit. Anyway, he was coming up to the reunion, and I had a family function pre-arranged, so I couldn't go. But tongue-in-cheek, I sent him the manuscript, and with a little note asking him if he'd kindly mark it for me. And I knew he would contact me afterwards because he, as the sort of guy he is, and I expected him to give me a metaphorical pat on the head. Don't give up your day job.
Right. Yeah.
Well, he was quite opposite. He was gushing. He rang me up. I mean, the reunion was on a Saturday. He rang me the Tuesday night. We were on the phone for over an hour, and he was most insistent that I get it published.
Brilliant.
And I thought, again, I had no real, thoughts about publishing it. And he then called me a couple of weeks later and said, would I send it to a friend of his who had been at university with many years earlier in Durham. So I sent it up to this guy in Durham, and he called me with the same response. When is this book being published? So I don't know. And then could he pass it on to somebody else in Durham? Do what you want with it, He then called me. This guy called me. So I've got 2 phone calls from 2 people I don't know, never heard of, both gushing about my book. Brilliant. And saying you must get this published. And Mr. Crook then, John Crook then called me again and suggested I investigate self-publishing, which I did. Now I think to self-publish you've got to have, not only have you got to have a big ego, which I probably have, but you've also got to have lots of money, which I haven't.
Right, yeah.
So I dismissed the idea.
Sure.
Totally dismissed the idea. Anyway, the end of January this year, a very good friend of mine is an accountant in a big accountancy firm in London. He's a partner, and he's reasonably wealthy, and he's a bit of an entrepreneur as well. And his wife was 50, and they live in Tavistock, and they invited us down to her 50th birthday party. In the course of the evening, over a few beers, he said, I've just invested in a publishing company. So, luck, you see, luck plays a part. Luck. So I said, well, I've just finished a book I've written. Really? So send us a manuscript then. So again, I had no expectations. I sent it down to him. He rang me back and said, yeah, I've loved your book. He said, I'm going to publish it, he said, with your permission. He said, I'm going to fund the whole thing, and I'm going to take 25% of any profits.
Brilliant.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, how did I feel about that,
Over the moon.
Over the moon, absolutely. Overwhelmed, actually.
Yeah.
Overwhelmed.
So you had this great endorsement, that's brilliant.
Well, yeah.
So originally then, when you wrote this book, what was your thoughts? What did you plan to do with it? What was it?
Nothing.
So it's just sort of a keepsake perhaps to pass on to your friend?
Didn't even think that far ahead. I just started writing a book on holiday. I mean, I didn't really think that I was writing a book on holiday. I just jotted down my experience of my first ever football match, proper football match.
Yep.
And then I thought, I don't know. And I had in the back of my mind the book I'd read, a few days earlier.
Yep.
And I thought perhaps we can expand on this. And it gradually evolved into not just being a football book, but it autobiographical about life in the 60s. I mean, the book starts really in 1961 and ends on the day I left school in 1969. Right. So it's about my experiences of living and growing up in the 60s, and how Ipswich Town Football Club influenced that growing up, which it did. If I'd have put as much effort into my studies as I did Ipswich Town Football Club, I might be a wealthy man myself today.
Well, it seems you've done pretty well. So, yeah. So this book has been out since November.
Yeah, November the 9th. It was. It became real then because I went into my office at about 9 o'clock on Monday morning on the 9th, and one of my warehousemen came upstairs and said, Dave, we've just had a pallet of books delivered. I mean, I knew they were coming, but it wasn't real.
Sure.
And when I broke the pallet down and took a carton up to my office and opened it, and there were the books. So it was actually real.
With your name on the front.
Yeah.
I mean, what a tremendous feeling.
Well, I have to say, I do feel quite emotional, really.
Well,
you know.
I think it should, because, you know, it took you 7 years, as you say,
Yeah.
which is,
But it
must have
wasn't
been a lot of hard work.
No, it wasn't
But-
just 7 years of hard work, really.
Okay.
Because being a football fanatic.
Yep.
And also, I'm a great one, if you like, for nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my joke is nostalgia is not what it was. But,
The old ones are the best.
but yeah, I just think it was a great. I actually, it wasn't really hard work. It was something I enjoyed doing.
Sure, yeah.
So no, it was. I wish I could do another one.
Well, perhaps you might, but I mean, I haven't read the book, to be honest, but I've only just seen it. But we were talking before this started that it's really, as you say, about your experience of growing up in the 60s.
Yes.
And how times were then
Yes.
as compared to now.
Yes.
I mean, you were telling me that you were one of the first possibly to have a TV in your... in a car.
A car. We
in
were
your-
one of the first people
Yeah.
in our area to have a car.
Because your father was...
My father worked. He would do 2 jobs, and he had the ability to go out and work in the evenings, and so he just earned extra money.
Sure.
And that extra money he played back into the family.
Sure.
So we were fortunate. We had a car, an old car, but we had a car, and we also went on holiday every year.
Sure.
And not everybody did.
No,
you know. But I think perhaps people would visit relatives or whatever.
Right,
But
yeah.
we used to go. First of all, our first holidays were to a caravan in the Manor End at Felixstowe,
Right.
which I thought was wonderful.
Of course, yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. We also had access, the Ablitt family had access to a beach hut.
Right.
So most Sundays in the summer we were down here anyway. I can remember as a little kid getting off the train at the beach station, and then on the way home we would call into the Dolphin, and my dad would have a beer and we would have an orange juice or something.
Sitting outside with a packet of
outside,
crisps.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's how it was for me.
Spot on. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Tremendous times, yeah. I mean, I was a Chelmsford, well, I am a Chelmsford boy by birth, and we used to have little holidays down to Clacton.
Yeah.
And I used to thoroughly enjoy them, you know, back in the 60s. Wonderful times.
I don't remember it ever raining.
No, I think we looked through rose-coloured
definitely.
glasses a
Definitely,
bit. But,
definitely.
yeah.
I remember we graduated from the beach hut to a caravan at the Manor End,
Yep,
which I think we rented off some people we knew
yep.
for a week. And I just remember spending every day on the beach, in the water, on the beach, and then in the evening we'd walk from the Manor to the pier
Yep.
via what we call Butlins, which is now called Charlie Manning's.
Yes, yeah.
Money, pennies in the slot machines, fish and chips or something.
And what a great fun, you know,
back to the
you
caravan.
thoroughly enjoyed it, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I certainly did, doing a similar sort of thing, you know.
No pressure.
Yeah, so it's all that sort of thing is in the book,
It is,
you know,
yeah.
You're
It is.
growing up through the 60s
That's
as
it.
it were.
Yeah.
And 60s was certainly my era, you know, it's the greatest era in music as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, probably
but,
right.
Yeah. So, in the 60s, as far as Ipswich Town were concerned, I'm not sure when Bobby Robson became manager. Was it the 70s?
No, the 60s, that period in the 60s
Yep.
between 61 and 69
Yep.
was probably a great time to be an Ipswich supporter.
Right.
Not just because, I mean, if you're a Chelsea supporter or a Manchester City supporter these days, you expect to win all the time.
Yeah.
Ipswich didn't expect to win anything.
Nope.
And they won promotion from the second division to the first division,
Yep.
which is now the Premiership, in 1961. And they were country bumpkins, and nobody expected them to do anything. They were favourites to be relegated, to go straight back down. Well, they actually won it. They won the First Division Championship in 1962.
Who was the manager then?
Alf Ramsey.
Okay, yep. of
Alf
course,
Ramsey.
Yep.
And then in 63, he became manager of England.
Yep.
And a famous footballer called Jackie Milburn
Yep.
became Ipswich manager, and a hero, a legend in the northeast of Newcastle. But he wasn't really cut out for management. He was too nice.
Right, okay.
And Ipswich survived they won the championship. They just survived the second season.
Yep.
But they were relegated in the third season.
Right.
It affected Jackie Milburn's health.
Yep.
And he resigned early on in the season they went down. He resigned in the second division. They were bottom of the second division. So in 3 years they went from the top of the first division to bottom of the second division.
So that was around about 65, 66?
64.
64.
64.
Okay. Yep.
The club appointed a guy called Bill McGarry as manager,
Yep.
who was a tough guy, tough character, who didn't take any flack from anybody, and he knew exactly what was needed.
Yep.
He kicked out most of the players. He brought his own players and staff in. He avoided relegation that year, and then in '68 he took them back into the first division. First division. He was only manager in the first division, I think, until the November, when he said he'd gone as far as he could, he'd done as much as he could, and he went to Wolverhampton Wanderers. And Ipswich then struggled to get a manager. A number of names turned them down, and Bobby Robson was out of work at the time. He'd been sacked by Fulham, and he was appointed Ipswich manager. And I think in reality he only got the job because nobody else wanted it. And then he had some difficult years, early years.
Sure. So he became manager when?
January '69.
Okay, yep.
And he had 2 or 3 difficult years.
Yep.
He had some problems with some of the players that were there, but he gradually filtered those out. He brought in his own, and well, you know, all the people who turned Ipswich down, and Bill McGarry, who left because he'd gone as far as he could, they all ended up getting a sack from other clubs. And Bobby Robson went on to become Sir Bobby Robson, and England manager, and revered all around the world.
Indeed.
In fact, what an accolade for Ipswich. Little Ipswich produced 2 England managers.
Indeed.
So,
and 2 of the most successful England managers, has to be said.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Absolutely, yeah. Ramsey won the World Cup.
Yeah.
Robson got the semi-finals.
That's right. I'm reading a book at the moment written by Jimmy Greaves.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because I met him once, and he's a fantastic bloke, because he's not been too well of late.
No.
And, Bobby Robson is mentioned several times in his book. I haven't got too far into the book, but it's very interesting, and it's about the early 60s I'm up to at the moment.
Different
Indeed,
different,
yeah. But as we say, this is not a book purely about Ipswich Town.
No.
It's about your experiences of the 60s, and because you grew up with Ipswich Town, that's why it's sort of...
Well, Ipswich
is in your heart, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
I mean, the final proofreading in, I think it was in end of August, September, the book was published and printed in Plymouth.
Right.
And the final proofreading was done, and the woman who I've never met, did the proofreading. I was copied in on an email she sent to the publisher to say how much she enjoyed the book. She hated football, had no interest in football whatsoever, but she thoroughly enjoyed the book and could now understand. It all became clear to her how people became football fans and supported one particular team. And that comment really justified it for me. That made it all worthwhile.
Well, yeah, because I mean that's an endorsement that it is not just a football book.
Yeah,
you know,
quite.
To say that a non-footballer person, as she was, or as she is, enjoyed the book, which was absolutely brilliant. Yes, indeed. So to reiterate, thing is most important is the price and the availability. So we can just go over that again, and perhaps a contact detail again for yourself, so if people want to get in touch.
What I would like to say,
please do, yeah.
What I would like to say, which I think is quite important, is I'm personally not going to make any money out of this book at all, and I didn't write it to make any money, and I don't want to make any money. So the net proceeds will be given to charity. I'm hoping to raise enough. I've committed to paying Ipswich Town Football Club to the academy because I got the legend Ray Crawford. I persuaded to write the foreword. He came up 3 weeks ago when Ipswich played Wolverhampton Wanderers. Him and I did 3 book signings. We sold 200 copies. So I'm committed to paying the Football Club Academy £2 for every copy sold.
Right.
I've also promised him a donation to his charity in Portsmouth. But I really do want to make a decent amount of money to give to the St Elizabeth Hospice.
Okay.
That's my...
what is Ray Crawford's charity? What's that called?
It's a cancer charity.
Okay.
I haven't actually got the details on that.
But the point is, it's also for his charity and also the St Elizabeth Hospice.
I really want to... I mean, we're getting there. We've covered all our costs now. The costs are there, so every book we sell now should be all profit.
Well, what a wonderful...
And so I want to give a decent donation to the St Elizabeth Hospital. Yeah. That is very close to my heart. My late father passed away in there, and without their help and support, I think as a family we would have struggled.
I understand.
They were absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
So wherever I can, whatever money I can raise, I would raise for them. And that's, you know, once the book became a reality and people started to buy it, that's my major focus really, to try and sell as many as I can for the hospice.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. So in order to do that, people can get the book from...
They can get it from me.
Yep.
Dave at imorex, imorex.co.uk.
So that's Dave at...
Imorex,
IMOREX.co.uk.
If you email me,
Yep.
I will probably even deliver it to you.
Okay.
Within reason.
Yeah. So just to get that right, that's Dave. Just Dave.
Just Dave.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dave at Imorex, IMOREX .co.uk.
Yeah, imorex.co.uk.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
think I didn't have an extra.
Yeah. The Bent Hill, Simon Cudworth is very kindly stocking it at the Bent Hill Post Office.
Brilliant.
The bookshop in the town,
Stillwater Books.
Stillwater Books, very nice guy. I can't remember his name. Lovely guy. He's selling it. Planet Blue at Portman Road, the Ipswich Town Club shop. Nick Morell at Finicky's Hair in Trimley.
Yep.
And you can also buy it online at www.imaginedirect.co.uk.
So that's www.imaginedirect.co.uk.
Yeah,
I think we've got that right.
That's the website. That's the website. Yeah.
Okie dokie,
Yeah.
that's a lovely job.
Yeah.
And just to remind people, the price is £10.
£10. If you buy it from on the website, there's postage and packing and postage on
Yeah.
which is about £4.50, I think.
But the great thing is, a lot of that money will be going to the two charities.
Net proceeds will be going to charities.
The
Yeah.
two charities.
I personally won't be taking a penny.
That's wonderful.
Well, I don't want to either, you know, it's not important.
No, but it's great to be able to say that you've written this book.
Yeah.
And you've done it from your heart.
Yeah.
And it's something you've enjoyed doing.
Well, it's been fun, really. I mean,
Yeah.
since it's been out before it was published, but when I knew it was being published, my daughter is an English teacher at Northgate High School in Ipswich, and she invited me to give a talk to her year 8s, which I think are 13-year-olds, about writing a book. So I had that experience. I've been invited back to the school in the new term to speak to the library, which I think is a far bigger, more people's. So yeah, it's you know, I've become a bit well known, I suppose, locally. I don't know.
Well, that's absolutely brilliant. All power to your elbow. I think that's a nice little book and make a lovely Christmas present.
Well, yeah, it's a good stocking filler.
If you're looking now at
Good stocking filler.
looking for a Christmas present, that's the ideal buy.
Yes, please.
Especially if you're an Ipswich person.
Absolutely.
As we've said before, anybody from around the world might enjoy
I've sold
reading
them
it.
in Canada and in the USA.
Brilliant.
In fact, an old friend of mine in Florida contacted me because he'd seen it on the Those Were the Days website.
Right.
And he contacted me, and he was emailing me every night saying, "Where's my book? Where's my book? Where's my book?"
So a tremendous Christmas present and a
Hope you
very
enjoyed it.
good birthday present indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So have we covered everything then, David?
I think we
You'd like to
have.
say?
Yeah, I think we have. Yeah, I think we have.
Thanks very much indeed
No,
for
thank
coming
you.
along and
Thank you.
all the more.
Thank you very
all
much.
the success.
Thanks
to
for
you.
inviting me on. Thank you.
No,
Thank
it's been a
you.
pleasure. Thank you, David.